Now, this episode was exactly what I was expecting from this show when I first started seeing these trailers. And I gotta say, this show is absolutely gorgeous. And Stellan Skarsgård, my God, acting magnificent, magnificent. Just to quote the Collector from Infinity War, you know? Hello, hello, hello. This is your boy Brandon Cryer, aka Earfont of Entertainment. We are back with another review, and the review we got today is Andor Episode 4. And what an episode we got today. My goodness. I love this episode. I'm going to just start there. Like I mentioned, when the trailers first came out for this show, you could go back and watch the trailer reactions, the very first trailer reactions. I have them on my channel. I was raving about the show. I was like, from the beginning, I was like, this show has the potential to be the best Disney Plus show, not just Star Wars show to have come out. And I will admit, the first 3 episodes threw me off a little bit because the vibe that I was getting from the trailers, I didn't really get in the first 3 episodes, but there's a reason for that. And there's a reason why they decided to drop the 3 episodes together, because the first 3 episodes was a different tone completely, to me anyway, from episode 4. Episode 4 is where we're really getting into what the meat of the show, what the show is actually going to be. The first 3 episodes to me were a character study and to me like a giant pilot in a sense. A lot of exposition and really just focusing on Casian Andor, the character, where he's from, his motivations, his relationships, those dynamics in those relationships. Episodes 1 to 3 was really just focused on Cassian and trying to bring him into the fold of the rebellion. Episode 4 starts with him and Luthen on the ship, and Luthen's basically talking to him, being like, so what's your choice? I'm giving you an option. I could drop you off at a planet and you could go about your business, or you could come and fight for something more. You know what I mean? There's something already popping off if you go and you do this. You know what I mean? You get 200,000 credits, right? So we already see Cassian being brought into the rebellion on a ground level. And I really appreciated this episode by portraying that. Once Cassian kind of was thrown into the mission, because we see Luthen bring him to this planet, Aldhani, where this is where they're going to carry off the mission. And we see that there is the introduction of a character named Val, who ends up being like the leader of this group of like 7 individuals that they're going to carry off the mission with. And Luthen basically comes, and we see that this group of individuals is somewhat working for Luthen, but obviously they don't really know Luthen outside of Val and now Cassian, right? So you see that Luthen is just a big part. Stellan Skarsgård's character, Luthen, is a big part of the rebellion, and he's kind of, I guess, maybe has multiple factions of, and all these like fighter cells of like little groups that will maybe carry off missions for him. That's the vibe that I'm getting. But we see Cassian dropped off in this group, and basically Luthen talking to the Val character, being like, he's being a part of this group. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. We need a win, and he's gonna help you guys do this. So Cassian is basically thrown into the fold of this group, meeting the group, basically being caught up to speed on the plan, which we see a little kind of mini model of the plan of what they're going to run through on the day of the mission. So while this is going on, it's basically going back and forth from this to Coruscant, which we're introduced to, obviously, our first sighting of Coruscant in the Andor show. And I'm glad to actually be back at Coruscant, and it said Coruscant, the capital of the galaxy. So it is nice to be back at Coruscant because it has such an influence and such a reach on other major parts of the galaxy. And there's just gonna be a lot of things going on in Coruscant. And by the way, it looked absolutely beautiful. Like the shots in this show are just amazing. Everything looks vast and very big. And even when they landed the ship and Luthen was trying to talk to Val about Cassian, the valley that they were in, like it looked very big. And it's weird because Obi-Wan like didn't feel the same. Like Obi-Wan, for some reason, I don't know if it was the camera work, but it felt really tight and close and not really expansive. Every episode feels really expansive. The ships feels really, the ships are big. The sets are big. Like there's even a shot where there's like a ship landing in Coruscant, and the ship looks like the scene just really portrays just the vastness and the size of all of these planets and different things. So before I go more into the Coruscant stuff, there's a moment before Stellan Skarsgård's character, after he drops off Cassian on Aldhani and he goes to Coruscant. So there's a moment while he's on his ship, and we see him like open up like this cabinet full of like wigs and rings, and there's different robes and clothing. And I was wondering about this in the trailer, because in the trailers that they dropped, I saw Stellan Skarsgård in different looks. One where he was regular Luthen talking to Cassian like we've seen, and then another look where he's in a robe, long hair, and I don't know if I saw another one, but I definitely saw these two looks for sure. And I sat there and I was like, why does he look completely different? And now we see why. And this being the reason, like, again, like this episode really just laid out what this show is actually going to be about. Espionage, political intrigue, and deception. All that good stuff that comes from that genre is being poured into the show, and you're seeing it. We see Stellan Skarsgård basically go into his second persona, like his Coruscant persona, in a sense, so that he's able to keep more of an ear to the ground on the politics that are going on in the Empire, right? So as he's on Coruscant, he's basically just like a art dealer of like artifacts and stuff like that. So we see, and like when I was preaching about his acting, you see as he's putting on the wigs, the rings, the robe, he's not only just putting on the disguise, we actually see him trying to get into the character of this arts dealer as he's on the ship, just putting it on. And then you see his face just go straight and he walks away, like walks towards the camera. So, one such a good shot, one such a good moment. And honestly, Stellan Skarsgård, my goodness, acting. And then that's further carried along when we get our introduction to Mon Mothma as she comes into his art shop to buy an artifact. But we see that there's already distrust. Luthen talks to his secretary, which I guess he trusts, Claire, and he's asking her, have you met that driver before? She responds with, no, I've never seen him. Mon Mothma comes in. They're talking about art. They go behind this separate area. But we see the driver trying to listen in. So we see Claire distract the driver so that they can have a private conversation. And as they go back there, we see Luthen and Mon Mothma just switch instantly into that serious conversation about the rebellion, about what they're doing, where pieces are, what things that they need. Luthen is like, we're running dry. Like, I need resources to kind of continue this. Luthen's expressing to her that they're vulnerable, but she's like, no one's more vulnerable than me for what I'm trying to do and pull off, because we know that Mon Mothma is a pillar in the rebellion, is a main pillar in the rebellion, and I'm guessing Luthen is a main pillar in the rebellion. And it seems like Luthen might be the highest one, but maybe he doesn't make it to Rogue One, because obviously we don't see him in the Rogue One rebellion gathering area, like in that point of the timeline, right? So I'm wondering if Luthen is going to pass away at some point, but it does seem like Stellan Skarsgård's character has a very pivotal role to starting the rebellion. It really seems like he is the forefront of it right now. So him having that conversation with Mon Mothma to kind of get her more into the fold, see where she's at before she, I guess, maybe fully leaves the Senate and fully goes over to the rebellion side. So it's very interesting to see this point in the timeline. And again, just the birth of the rebellion, and going back to the Aldhani storyline, just seeing them on the ground, a couple huts, 7 guys, or there was 2 girls, so 7 individuals, wood fire, getting ready to do a mission against the Empire. They really are trying to show the audience that this rebellion is starting from literally the ground up and building to what we know that it comes to be. So great episode. I really enjoyed this episode. The first 3 episodes, I was a little concerned because I was watching and I was like, I didn't really get that vibe and that tone that I was getting from the trailers. But after I finished watching the 3 episodes, I thought about it and I was like, wait, because it was really focused on Cassian and his character. So let's see what next week brings us. And it brought us an amazing episode. The acting from everybody involved, from the members in the Empire, from all the people that Cassian met on Aldhani, to Mon Mothma, to Claire, and obviously Stellan Skarsgård bodying his 2 personas. So the acting is elite. This show looks gorgeous. The tone and vibe that I thought this show would be portraying is finally here, and I'm getting it in full effect, and it's only episode 4. They didn't even carry out the mission yet. The episode ended with Cassian having to learn a bunch of stuff before they carry out the mission. So I'm pretty sure next week's episode is going to be pretty action-packed while they carry out this mission. So I'm excited for next episode. Honestly, one of my most anticipated shows, this and House of the Dragon together now, are honestly, I'm loving all this political intrigue and drama is right up my alley, and I'm loving it. So I think I'm going to end it there. I don't really have much else to say. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you think you'd be interested in content like this, Andor reviews, this show has 12 episodes coming, so this is going to be running all the way to November. I'm going to be doing episodes weekly on this show. I am loving it. So if you want reviews for this show, subscribe to the Brandon Correa Network. I got trailer reactions, reviews for She-Hulk, Rings of Power, House of the Dragon, entertainment news updates, all that good stuff. If you'd be interested in content like that, subscribe to the Brandon Correa Network. You will not regret it. I appreciate you for watching. Catch you next time.